everybody, today we're going to be doing a very late season review of the 2022 Hamilton Tiger Cats, but with previews coming up here in about a month, we're going to try to finish all those reviews off from the 2022 season, so we'll be ready for the 2023 previews. Now before we start, I wanted to say please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new to me, new to the CFL, whatever the case may be. I'd love to have you here along the way as I try to do this as a career. That being said, let's get into it. So for Hamilton coming into the season, I think they were viewed as a favorite or at least a contender for the Eastern Final to win it in the regular season and then to go on and maybe do some damage in the playoffs. They had been to the previous two Grey Cups and ultimately lost to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a blowout in the first one, and then in just agonizing fashion in the second one, like we've talked about extensively. But going into 2022, they were going to be without some guys, of course. They were having multiple players poached by the Ottawa Redblacks, Jeremiah Mazzoli, Hecklin, just etc., etc. They had just a lot of guys. Garrett Davis was also gone as well. And so you knew that they might take a step backwards, as a team like Ottawa theoretically should have stepped up. Mazzoli got injured, but that's besides the point. Hamilton was kind of disappointing for a big chunk of this year. They were battling with a lot of things, and ultimately I think a lot of it stemmed from the play of Dane Evans, as he was really inconsistent and led the league in turnovers. Had more interceptions, I believe, than games played. I think he had 15 games played and 16 interceptions. And also, I believe, led the leagues in fumbles and fumbles lost, definitely by a quarterback. And ultimately, they were just kind of a team that struggled to not turn the ball over in key moments. They had an easy win against Calgary Stampeders early on in the year, and then Titus Wall stripped the ball from Dane Evans. He thought that the whistle should have been blown, but we know how that went. And it was kind of a theme for Hamilton early on. Build up these pretty good leads in the first half and then watch them wither away as they became very one-dimensional in the second half, where maybe they threw the ball a lot. And the defense, I think, really struggled with it, as well as Hamilton's offense really just was not able to stay out on the field as much as you'd like in the second half, or dealt with a lot of those turnovers. I think the defense felt the brunt of that too, because when you play three-down football and the quarterback has a case of the butterfingers and can't really throw to the right team as much as you'd like, you would imagine that's kind of going to be tiring. So for them, they really had a stretch where they looked like they were going to be on the out. But however, for Orlando Steinhauer and his guys, they were able to recover. They were 4-10 towards the back stretch of the season. Looked like the Rough Riders were a lock to make the playoffs as a crossover team. That is before Hamilton, of course, ended up winning 4 in a row, one of those being against Saskatchewan, to end up walking up a playoff spot. That was great for them. Gotta say, I was really impressed there, but ultimately it ended up being a dud because they lost to the Alouettes in the Eastern semifinal, and it was frustrating because they had really worked up that momentum towards the back end of the season, just to fall short by halftime. I think by the third quarter it was pretty much a done deal because I watched that game. And for myself, I looked at Hamilton and thought, where are they going to go? But we're kind of reviewing the season entirely and kind of where I think Hamilton is headed. I do think Hamilton should be a better club in 2023. We'll get to that in our previews coming out in probably about a month. Probably actually less than that. I would actually say probably in the next 3 weeks. But I did want to say for Hamilton, they were a disappointing club in some ways, considering how they started off the year. But at the end of the day, they were able to rally. They did make the playoffs, and they showed that they have grit. Was this a successful year by their standards? No. They had been going on to the Grey Cup multiple times in previous seasons. They were viewed as a team that should be able to go back, and they ultimately just squeaked into the playoffs before losing to Montreal and not even getting a clash with the Argonauts that I think we all kind of expected. Ultimately, this was, I think, a big part tied to what happened with Dane Evans. Schultz was their backup quarterback, and I do think he was a good guy to be a spark plug for them. And I said in a TikTok video that he was kind of like a jump start, or your bungee cables, your jumper cables, where you could use him, and you knew that he probably would get things going, but it wouldn't exactly fix what's wrong with the car, which the car is the offense or the team. Dane Evans wasn't that guy. He is since been shipped out to the BC Lions, and I think going forward for Hamilton, they were going to have to see how things go with their new quarterback, but we will of course keep that for the preview. But I will say for Hamilton, at the end of the day, they made the playoffs. They were close to 500, and they were able to at least say they had a chance to go on and end their Grey Cup drought. They didn't, but that's okay. And for them, I'm going to say for this season, they were unhappy, but they did know that they weren't completely falling off a cliff like Saskatchewan did last year, where they just fell off hard. But anyway, what were your thoughts on the 2022 Hamilton Tiger Cats? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, leave your thoughts for the 2023 Hamilton Tiger Cats, as I am going to have to get together notes for previews for those. Leave those thoughts down below. Also, please make sure to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Everybody stay safe and have a great night.